This is David Summerall again with my dear friend Mark Sutherland from the UK in an undisclosed location, ready for part two of our little series, The Texan and the Brit. We are going to try to tackle some of the subjects that are on our hearts and minds and get to the bottom of some of the questions that we have that we need answers to and work together to solve some problems. So, Mark, it's good to have you on the line again today. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, my brother, and it's fantastic to. This is Mark Sutherland talking from his undisclosed location with his dear friend David Summerall in his undisclosed location, somewhere 4,500 miles away from where I am now.
That's right. That is right.
Yeah. So my brother, do you want to explain some of the noise that's in the background there?
Well, you know me, I drive a lot. You know, in Texas, our nearest neighbor is what, 15, 20 miles away. Is it? And I needed a cup of sugar, so I had to run over here. No, actually, I'm driving, and as you know, I've zigzagged back and forth across the country a lot of times. When I'll be talking to you, it will probably be from behind a windshield. So,
right.
this is one of those times.
Is that behind a windshield, or are you dodging tumbleweed?
Dodging tumbleweed, but it's all good because I'm on the road to victory. Right?
Amen, my brother. Amen. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Absolutely. And I think that is that's a bit of a subject at the moment, don't you think?
Oh, it is. It is so topical that it is beyond that. It's really foundational, you know, and I think that morale is one of those key ingredients to winning that our great president has tried to instill in people, that, you know, it's a mindset and it's a want and a desire and a need.
I hear you. And saying that,
but I think in a positive way.
Yeah. Saying that, I want to turn the tables on you in a very nice way, my dear friend. And I want to say to you, I want to ask you, what brought you into this fight? What is your background? How long have you been at this? And I'm obviously asking leading questions because I know you fairly well, and I know what you are about and what you've been involved with, but not everyone does. So why don't you kindly explain that to us?
Well, if you were to put me on the couch like that and ask, we would be here for quite some time. This is a short show, Mark. Let me just get to the chase and just say, I'm just like everybody else, man. I guess, like we spoke before, a Renaissance man. I like to think that I can do anything I put my mind and my hands to, and it's in my last name. I mean, if you look at my last name and break it down, it says some are all. So of course I can do it all, but you know that
brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. That is brilliant.
That being said, you know, I pride myself on that. And growing up, you know, you want to experience different things. You want to, you know, try different musical instruments, different things. It's just, that's me, artist, physical. You know, I like sports and all that back in the day, and but you know, the way I got into this fight, it's really a longer story, and I'll really condense it here. In 1992, of course, during the LA riots, my son was actually in the womb at the time, and we're sitting on the couch watching what's happening in LA with the violence and the fires. And, you know, we had watched that whole scenario develop into a real situation. And when it happened, we were just in awe. And, you know, what can we do to help? And like I've said 100 times, you know, once it happens, you can't throw money at it. You can't put the fires out. You can't stop the fight. So we decided to, you know, back then in 92, let's work on a prevention program, an awareness program that says, hey, we're not going to, for one, take the bait, and for two, use hate as a first response. If I don't know anything about you, I shouldn't prejudge you. I can have my thoughts, but you know, and then acting on those is a whole other issue. But that's basically it in a nutshell. So we came up with an acronym that's start turning off prejudice, heal attitudes through education. It's real simple. We're not after specific groups of people that are experiencing specific types of hate, because hate is hate, and we're not trying to glorify one and say you're because of this your hate is more special or not. So I really tried to stay local, do what I could community wise in my own area for a long time. Like I said, 1992 is a long time ago. I tried to stay Switzerland. I always envisioned, for instance, a Democrat in a Stop Hate shirt walking up to a Republican in a Stop Hate shirt saying, "Hey, we have something in common." I don't really think that ever happened. And a couple of years ago, we had the Kavanaugh hearings and the Covington boys, and I was sickened at what was happening with the way our politicians were acting. And I decided I could not sit by anymore and just let it happen without saying something and be myself and quit hiding behind a brand name that I'm trying to protect from being, one way or another. It's not that it's one way or another. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and good and evil is a real subject matter to discuss. And I just had to call it like I saw it, and the way they treated those people was wrong. And that was the beginning of what's been a really great couple of year run of more of a national bigger picture for Stop Hate. And the more we go, the more important it seems to be. So that's kind of where we are today.
What David, you've described in a nutshell your history, and in fact, in many ways, you haven't done yourself justice. But I'm saying that as a dear friend because I know you, and I know there's a lot more. There's a lot more to that, and I know your motivation. Can you say over the last couple of years, this isn't about you blowing your own horn, but I want to know, I want other people to know, what have you been doing over the last couple of years? What are some of the rallies that you have held? And then we can lead into, if we've got time, how we then met.
Well, that will be a good segue into how we met. Several years ago, I was invited to a demand free speech rally in San Francisco. I had already stepped onto the scene on social media, which I was allergic to, and learned how to digest a little bit. So I was getting a little bit of a name as far as our mission. And I've always tried to do it semi-anonymously. It's not about me, it never has been, shouldn't be. And it's just about we the people. Anyway, it was a matter of going to some of these events and meeting people that hear the story of what we've actually done. Back in the day, we took on some crazy people like the KKK, in the 90s. I stood against people like Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam when they were doing silly things, and was by myself. I mean, nobody. It was standing against some of this hate before it was the popular thing to do. It's still really not, but that's the old in the 90s and stuff like that. And then today, so demand free speech. We did San Francisco. We had another rally that I helped sponsor and organize in DC. We had a really great time in DC. It got a lot of attention, but the demand free speech rallies, I've done a lot in Austin, Texas, handfuls of rallies down there. I put on a concert in Tennessee for another organization we started called the American Celebration Tour. And actually, StopHate.com, American Celebration Tour, it's all the same thing. You go to either website, you find what we do. And that's where I met you. I invited you to speak at the Tennessee event, and the rest is history. It's amazing how God works. And you know what's funny about that, Mark? I think in a nutshell, my ministry through Stop Hate, your ministry through what you do, I want people to understand it's only about action and blind faith. And that's really it, because you went to Tennessee not knowing what to do, not knowing who you would meet, not knowing what to expect. And I did the same thing in every time I go to an event, every time I go somewhere, God has a reason. And you may not know it until you leave the place. You just never know. But I think that's really what I would like to convey to people, that it's really not about me. It's about putting myself into those situations that are more than me, and just kind of let God do his thing, because that's who ultimately gets the glory, deserves the glory. And that's it.
Mm, mm.
Mhm.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it was an absolute honor and privilege to meet you last October at that rally, and to meet everyone. And the reason I'm saying that is because, I live 4,500 miles away from you, and I'm in the UK in my undisclosed location, and maybe over time that we'd explore why I say that. But the fact that we then have a meeting of minds, and we have a meeting of a common purpose, even though we are from two separate countries, but we begin to analyze and see what is happening. But I think the other thing is that there is a key element that maybe we haven't mentioned here, and that we have to say that, in the fact that we are both Bible believing Christians, and that that is our motivation.
It
And
really is, Mark.
yeah,
And that wraps up, I think, what we really are all about. To me, I know you heard me say it's my ministry or whatever it really is, and that's a lifestyle, it's a choice, and example ministry. And that's why, for StopHate.com, it's funny, I wear a wristband that says Stop Hate, help stop hate. I wear the t-shirts, I wear the hat. It's a reminder for me, because it's so easy these days, man. We've all been so programmed to want to hate each other, but it has to get back to, the loving each other, like the 11th commandment. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what Jesus said for us to do. And we don't have to like each other, but we do have to love each other. And it's just part of it. And we'll figure everything else out. But man, listen, I hate to cut and run, but I'm almost to where I'm going. And this has just been fantastic. I appreciate you asking, about
no,
where I'm
not at all, because I think this is about people's testimony and people's story, and we need to hear people's testimony. Then we need to hear their stories, because we are then encouraged by it, because people think that it's all handed on a plate, or we've arrived at a particular place, but it's God's leading. So, but anyway, thank you, my brother, for asking that. And safe travels today, please.
Absolutely. Listen, it's not like usual. I'm not going 800 miles and taking a right, or
We'll
maybe
explain that
next time.
story. We'll explain that story as well one day.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Listen,
Brilliant.
God bless you, my friend. It was great to talk to you.
And you. Talk to you soon. All right. God bless. Take care.
All right, brother. You
Bye.
too. Bye bye.